Hello, everybody, and welcome to Connected Knowledge from Upland Software on True Story FM. I'm Pete Wright. We are hot on the heels of the 19th annual Customer Contact West event for business consulting firm Frost & Sullivan, and our own team was there to represent. Today on the show, I'm talking to Shelly Lindstrom, Principal Customer Success Manager and one of our most distinguished leaders at Upland. Shelly was there and is here to tell the whole story about Frost & Sullivan's Customer Contact West event. Shelly, welcome to the show. So glad you are here. Are you recovered?
Hi, Pete. Glad to be here. I think I'm still a bit in recovery mode. Fantastic event, but extremely full of information and sessions to go to. So it's not the event with a lot of downtime. It gives you quite the opportunity to network and meet a lot of folks, both customers as well as other vendors, which is just as important.
This is the 19th annual Customer Contact West event. 19th annual. And I've never been, and I believe this was our first year representing. This was your first year?
It is. It is our first year in going to Frost & Sullivan's Mind Exchange event. Yes, they've been doing it for 19 years, and it shows. They run a very tight ship. It's a very organized event, and like I said, it is packed not only with information but fun from the get-go. So Sunday when you land, there's networking and a wonderful dinner in fantastic setting, which makes it a bit more enjoyable. But until Wednesday when they wrap up, I mean, it is a full of, like I said, information and networking. Glad we went. It's a bit of a different event in the sense that it is not a trade show. It doesn't have a large floor with booth after booth after booth where, you feel like it's a little bit of the carnival barker environment.
Yeah, right.
It's completely different.
Did you come back with a tote full of pamphlets and magnets?
Right, not too much swag.
Not too much swag. Okay.
But
all right.
The point is really to have meaningful conversation, right? To allow yourself time to really dig in and have more detailed discussions with the attendees. And like I said, both customers that attended as well as vendors. And that's a good thing, right? To evaluate what other vendors are doing in the space and how we can collaborate together to bring to contact centers the best experience possible.
So I have substantively two major areas that I would like to talk to you about. And the first one is just a few weeks ago, our very own Samantha Middlebrook was on the show to talk about her then upcoming talk, How to Maximize Knowledge Management for Agent Effort and Productivity Game. This is the talk she gave with Jim Porter. How'd it go? Are you a fan? Are you a Samantha Middlebrook fan? Do you show up to all of her conference presentations?
I am a fan. I'm a bigger fan after this event, which I didn't think was possible because I am one of Samantha's, I would say, biggest supporters. It was a great event. If anyone has had the pleasure of meeting Samantha or listening to any of her presentations she's given, you know that she really keeps the audience engaged. A delight to listen to, but so full of information and conveys that in a way that it's very easily digestible by the audience, and they want to participate. They want to have fun with Samantha. So she's wonderful. Now combine that with Jim Porter, who is one of our customers from Primerica, and Jim really gave his knowledge management story to the audience. And the most fantastic part is Jim kicked it off with, "I'm not a great speaker," and then literally within seconds owned the room, owned the audience. He was just fantastic, really engaging. Jim told the story about basically at Primerica, I'll call it the KM revolution or evolution that's going on there, including using KCS, which is knowledge-centered services. It's a best practices methodology, but really something that you'd live by. And that received a lot of questions and intrigue from the audience. Most folks have heard of KCS, but have not actually integrated it into their way of doing knowledge. And with the information that Jim gave, I think that's going to change. Just showing the empowerment of agents, right, on how they utilize KCS, the quality of content that's gathered, and the true ownership and empowerment, like I said, of the agents in utilizing this is just paramount. I think, as we know, and one of the trends that was definitely at this event was, the overall wellness and empowerment of the agents, because it is critical. We hear so much about AI, but that human interaction is still going to be a key piece of anyone's contact center strategy.
Well, that is, as you know, it's a favorite topic on this show, is talking about what it means to have a healthy and balanced and well-staffed contact center, and making sure that you're doing the things that help to take care of your agents and giving them, for lack of a better word, agency in their roles. I'm curious, as we move forward in this conversation, talking about your experience at the conference, some of these other trends, right? What did you see that seemed like an embrace of change in the air toward knowledge management, knowledge centers, and agent support?
Sure. So I would say the event in general, there were some trends that folks will not be surprised at, which is AI, 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 AI.
Yeah.
Beyond that, it's very obvious that contact center digital transformation is a work in progress. It's well on its way. There's still work to do. And in that, it really will help with agent productivity and empowerment. Having the right tools in place. Another trend was harnessing big data for agent performance. So being able to have real-time analytics that feed into what an agent is doing in their time of need will definitely help not only the agent, but improve customer satisfaction. So that was a big one, right? And that really aids. If you can capture big data, it really aids in a contact center becoming more and more a centerpiece of a company's strategy. Who else touches the customer more, right?
For sure.
And you do need digital transformation to get there. You need,
Right,
like I said, the right tools. You need to know when to use, information, right, to improve process.
Well, right, and this gets to the trend, sort of the balance of what knowledge centers can do for user self-service, and the balance between self-service and agent support. I mean, are you seeing more holes being filled to kind of bridge the two?
Self-service is an interesting area, because I do believe that is one of the areas that most companies are looking at AI when it comes to, especially in the knowledge space, right? Giving the customer enough information, right, to fulfill their needs, right, to answer their questions, to solve their issues. And traditionally on self-service portal, there's a search mechanism. So the customer is searching your knowledge base, right? The information that the company is sharing with the customer to hopefully provide them with the service that they need. And with AI, being able to look at the information of that customer, and potentially knowing who that customer is. Obviously, if it's an anonymous person on your site, you may not know as much about them, but you can certainly know what's going on with your company and the information and issues that are being reported, right? That may, with the use of AI, may be able to contextually change what you're providing on your site. So it's all about not just giving knowledge, but giving answers. Being able to, and this goes for the agent side as well, right? Being able to solve issues as quickly as possible. And how do you move that up the chain? Do you start using conversational AI, where, a phone call doesn't come into a live agent, it comes into a conversational AI chat. And based on what the customer is asking, the conversational AI can take care of the majority of their questions. Now, these are, typically starting off with pretty common issues, right? But then it frees up the human to really delve into complex issues. So get rid of the monotonous that you may have to deal with, and really spend time on the more complex issues that may be a bigger bang, right? In serving your customers.
Well, I'll tell you, this is what's so interesting to me when I look at like the agent's role in these kinds of big bang sorts of support scenarios is, looking at the customer and how the customer can be bridged potentially from self-support to agent support with a continuity of support between the two. So the customer, me, say, calling, never feels like they've forgotten who I am, to help improve the affinity that I have with the brand. And I'm curious if you see any of that reflected at Customer Contact West.
There was some of that. I think it's in some of the larger, right, trends that we're
Yeah.
seeing. What do you have in place, right, to capture the information that you need about the customer to ensure that doesn't happen? It's not only why the customer is calling in, but who is this customer, right? What's the history that you have with this customer? There's a lot that goes to it to build really that customer profile. And I think with some of the digital transformation and AI specifically, it's going to allow, I think, companies to do more in that area where there's an empathetic side on what the customer is going through, right?
Yes.
With the process, coupled with the information that you're gathering and feeding that into AI. To ensure that you're handling this customer the way the customer, one, likes to be handled, and two, you're giving them what they need when they need it. The first go round. There's a lot about first call resolution. Now, you can replace call with any omni-channel that you would like, but the reality is we don't want to be pushed around as a customer from department to department. Right? We don't want to go from department to department and start from square one. So how do we capture that information within a contact center, right, to make this seamless interaction with the customer possible?
That's the dream. I dare to dream, Shelly.
We've all been there, Pete. We've all been on the other side, right, of calling a company with a question or an issue, right? And you end up going through 3 or 4 different areas, right, within the contact center. They seem to not have any notes or information from the previous dialogue that you just had 30 seconds ago. So this is, it's capturing information in real time and being able to feed it back, right, to help service the customer better.
You dropped a term I want to make sure we land on a little bit. When you look at the event overall and the other vendors and presenters in space, who's really talking about empathy in the call center?
I think it's on the radar of most companies, right? But getting there is not. It's kind of like, how do you pull empathy and the human side of things into data, right? So how do you capture that? And I think what it is, we talk a lot about AI, we talk about digital transformation, and people start to form like, oh, there's a robot out there. This robot is going to help me. There's not going to be any emotion, any tie, from the robot to the customer, right? And we can't, that's not what's coming. What's coming is an empathetic feel where the customer feels like they are the most important person to a company, but you're accomplishing that by gathering information. You are looking at, a lot of times the sentiment, analyzing the conversation, the wording that was used. Is the customer feeling negative today, right? Well, you can tell very easily, by the words, by the connotation of what the information that they're passing to you. So you have to tie
Are they angry?
that.
Are they happy?
Yes, you absolutely,
right.
You can't lose sight of that, right? We're still humans out here. We still want to feel the love, so to speak, right? But the bottom line is we also want our issues to be resolved in a meaningful way, in a very fast way, in a way that I can then serve myself. If this occurs again, I don't have to call you. I know how to handle the situation. So it's so important to be able to track. We always talk about the 360 view of the customer. Well, we really need to make sure that we include the sentiment in that.
Because when I call your brand, I am subject to the spotlight effect like no other. I believe I am the center of the universe when I'm asking you to solve my problem, right? We all do. And and how companies are able to see that. To your point, the 360-degree view of the customer. That's why I count on it. That's why I give up as much as I do.
As you should, right? I mean, we as customers,
Right.
we're typically a paying customer. That's the expectation. As companies do an excellent job of making you feel important.
As we get toward wrapping up here, Shelly, we're talking about Customer Contact West. The overall theme of the show. Give me a vibe check of the show. What do you think organizations like ours even are taking away and working into the conversation about how to improve community and improve call center conversations this coming year?
Sure. I think the biggest takeaway is, and I mentioned this previously, digital transformation is a work in progress.
Yeah.
I think it's evolving on what that truly means. The majority of contact centers, they have their CRMs in place. They may have knowledge in place, right? They have what I'll call the standard set, right, of applications in place. The next evolution is, taking that and improving upon it through the use of AI. And where in that food chain within a contact center does AI fit in? And there's many use cases. I think one of the things that I took away is we're still really trying to determine at this point in time, because AI is fairly early in the process, of where are the most valuable business cases that we can utilize AI in the call center. There are many companies out there that are in the midst of releasing their first version of a product that includes AI. And so when I say that digital transformation is a work in progress, it is. It's the next generation of that is occurring. What I love is it wasn't just a focus on the customer. It was truly a focus on the agent as well. And the agent still being, the centerpiece of your contact center. They really are the most important piece.
I find that reassuring.
There was no discussion about AI replacing agents. It was about empowering, which I think is very refreshing for a lot of people. But it's really that human interaction is going to be more and more important with AI and other functions that are out there. And I think we can't forget that. So, digital transformation is happening. AI is a good thing. Agent wellness is just imperative to the success of your contact center. Especially, there's a lot of contact centers out there that with post the COVID pandemic, they're still working remotely. They need more contact internally, right? There's more of a need for collaboration, for information sharing, and the ability to do that seamlessly throughout the day. So, those are probably the main takeaways from the conference.
Shelly, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. This has been illuminating.
Well, thanks, Pete, for having me. Appreciate it.
And thank you, everybody, for downloading and listening to this show. We sure appreciate your time and attention. We'd love to hear what you think. Swipe up in your show notes. Let us know your experience at the Customer Contact West event. We'd like to hear it. Look for that. Submit a question. We'll get your question on the show. Maybe we'll send a note to Shelly and have her come back and answer your question live on the show. We sure appreciate every bit of messaging we get, and we'd love to hear your voice too. On behalf of Shelly Lindstrom, I'm Pete Wright, and we'll see you next week right here on Connected Knowledge.